Hi, welcome back to our study. You know, we've had a very interesting study here, and the subject is that whatsoever crawls off the sheet, you may rise and eat. So we've been looking at the house kitchen rules, Leviticus chapter 11. This is the original commandment that John speaks of in 1 John, that we should follow the commandment that's from the beginning. This is one of them. And we've looked at Noah's life and how he turned from a farmer into a zookeeper. And so we're continuing on with this very interesting kind of study. I just have to kind of try to remember, we've gone over some of these scriptures over and over again, a lot of them from the New Testament, Acts, Corinthians, Paul, and so forth. I'm satisfied that we covered Noah. So let's just, I should have marked the spot. 1 Corinthians 10:27, and if I'm repeating myself, forgive me, and I'm sure I am. If someone that believes not bids you to a feast, then you're disposed to go. Whatever is set before you, eat, asking no question for conscience sake. 28. But if any say unto you, this is offered unto idols, eat not for his sake that showed it, and for conscience sake. For the earth is Yahweh's, and the fullness thereof. 29. Conscience, I say, not thine own, but of the other. For why is my liberty judged of another man's conscience? 30. For if I by favor be a partaker, why am I evil spoken of for that which I give thanks? 31. Whether therefore ye eat or drink or whatsoever you do, and yes, we're reviewing now, do all for the esteem of Yahweh, giving none offense, neither to Jews nor Gentiles, nor to the assembly of Yahweh. 33. Even as I please all men in all things, not seeking mine own, but the profit of many, that they may be saved. So we know the heart of the Apostle Paul. No challenge, however, of Leviticus 11 is even implied here. The apostle is simply dealing with food offered to idols and how believers should respond. He simply doesn't indicate or differentiate between meat at all. That's not what's under discussion. What is food that has been offered and tied to idolatry. Should we eat? Mark 7:5. Then the Pharisees and scribes asked him, saying, Why walk not thy disciples according to tradition, but to eat bread with unwashen hands? This is a very interesting discourse. He answered and said unto them, Well hath Isaiah prophesied of you, hypocrites, as it is written, This people honoreth me with their lips, but their heart is far from me. Howbeit in vain do they worship me, teaching for doctrines the commandments of men, lying aside of the commandments. Ye hold the tradition of men, he goes on. I'm kind of just catching us back up to snuff and summarizing what we've already read. A lot of it. Pots and pans, washings. He said they reject the commandments of Yahweh to keep their own tradition, including Korban, a way of getting around respecting and honoring our father and mother. Then he says in verse 13, making the word of Yahweh of none effect through your tradition which ye have delivered. Many such other things do ye. And when he had called all the people unto him, he said unto them, Hearken, every one of you unto me, and understand there is nothing from without a man that entering in him can defile him. But the things which come out of him, these are they which defile the man. If any man have ears to hear, let him hear. And when he was entered into the house, from the people his disciples asked him concerning the parable. And he saith unto them, Are ye also with understanding yet? Do ye not perceive that whatsoever thing from without entereth into the man, it cannot defile him, because it entereth not into his heart, but into the belly, and goeth out into the draught, purging all meats. And he said, that which cometh out of the man, that defileth the man. For from within, out of the heart of men, proceed evil thoughts. So it's evil that proceeds out of man's heart. Adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, an evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man. Ending with verse 23. Yes, a close examination of Scripture indicates the controversy. It puts its finger on it. It is eating with unwashed hands with regards to ceremonial purification is the subject that arose, and not what kind of meat. In fact, no mention in particular is made about the food on the plate. It is understood Yahweh's law is already in effect and has been for thousands of years. The teaching that God did away with his law when his son died on the cross is not only a blasphemy, but it's a neo-first century debate. Just as Sabbath is still in effect then and now, so Yahweh's instructions concerning nutrition for humankind. We just don't simply find these kind of modern church debates in the Bible. So let's look finally at the granddaddy of them all. Whatsoever crawls off the sheet, rise up and eat. Now I realize I'm being probably repetition, but bear with me, please. A repetition is not always bad. Sometimes it's good. It's a way to learn. Acts 10:9b, Kepha went up on the housetop to pray about the 6th hour, 10. He became very hungry and would have eaten, but while they made ready, he fell into a trance, 11. Saw heaven open, a certain vessel descending upon him, as it had been a great sheet knit at the 4 corners and let down to the earth, 12. Wherein were all manner of 4-footed beasts of the earth, and wild beasts, and creeping things, and fowls of the air. Verse 13. And there came a voice to him, Rise, Kepha, kill and eat. 14. But Kepha said, Not so, master, for I have never eaten anything that is common or unclean. 15. The voice spoke unto him the second time, What Yahweh hath cleansed, call thou not common. 16. This was done thrice, and the vessel was received up again into heaven. The Bible makes it clear, number one, this is a vision and not a repudiation of Leviticus 11. The interpretation to the vision makes itself clear and known almost immediately, for Kepha doesn't go gorge himself on previously thought unclean foods. No, he goes out to meet some men who have come looking for him. 10:17. Now while Kepha doubted in himself what this vision which he had seen should mean, behold, the men which were sent from Cornelius had made inquiry for Shimon's house, or Simon's house, and stood before the gate. 18. And called and asked whether Simon, which was surnamed Kepha, were lodged there. 19. While Kepha thought on the vision, the Spirit said unto him, Behold, 3 men seek thee. 20. Arise, therefore, and get thee down, and go with them, doubting nothing, for I have sent them. Now this is the Spirit speaking. It's making known the understanding of all the preparatory work up to this point. It has nothing to do with being invited to a hog feast. It has to do with meeting people whose diets earmarked them and whose very lifestyles precluded them before from being a part of Yahweh. But now, Yahweh in his economy turns to such people. He has an appointment with them. When Kepha arrives, he gives the interpretation to the vision. Notice it has nothing to do with food whatsoever, other than food was used as an illustration or symbolically to deliver quite a different message. It has to do with people, as Kepha explains. Verse 28. And he said unto them, Ye know that it is an unlawful thing for a man that is a Jew to keep company or come into the of another nation, but Yahweh has shown me that I should not call any man common or unclean. 34. Then Kepha opened his mouth and said, Of a truth, I perceive that Yahweh is no respecter of persons. 35. But in every nation he that feareth him in work of righteousness is accepted unto him. Again, this has to do with people not eating habits. But for those stubborn, I challenge you to read all of Acts to clear this up for yourself. This thing of people from other nations being added became such a hot-button issue, and whether or not they should keep the law, Acts 15 spends the rest of the time discussing this very issue with one conclusion, verse 9, and put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts by faith. 10. Now therefore why tempt ye Yahweh to put a yoke upon the neck of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we were able to bear? 11. For we believe that through the favor of the Master Yeshua Messiah we shall be saved, even as they. 28. For it seemed well to the set-apart Spirit and to us to lay upon you no greater burden than these necessary things. 29. That ye abstain from meats offered to idols, and from blood, and from things strangled, and from fornication, from which if ye keep yourselves ye shall do well, fare ye well. Verse 30. So when they were dismissed, they came to Antioch, and when they had gathered the multitude together, they delivered the epistle. Verse 31. And which, when they had read, they rejoiced for the consolation. We're coming to the end of this study. An honest reading of this proves that it has nothing to do with undoing dietary restrictions. If anything, such restrictions are added to the Gentile believers so that they can have table fellowship with Hebrew believers. Say what? That's right. 4 carryovers, and only 4 from the Mosaic covenant are added to the believers. 3 involve diet, and 1 general morality. The great American diet doesn't rate mention, except in our own minds. The 3 carryovers regard food can only match Leviticus 11, not take away from it. To be specific, all meats eaten should be kosher killed in compliance with this scripture. Impossible to do with unclean meat. Meat should be cooked well done, not rare, and should contain no blood for the believer. Finally, church suppers are forbidden, which is to say believers should follow Ephesians 5:5. For this ye know that no whoremonger, nor unclean person, nor covetous man who is an idolater hath any inheritance in the kingdom of Messiah and Yahweh. Let no man deceive you with vain words, for because of these things cometh the wrath of Yahweh upon the children of disobedience. Be ye not therefore partakers with them. For ye sometimes darkness, but now are ye in the light of Yahweh. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness and righteousness and truth, temperance, proving what is acceptable unto Yahweh, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather reprove them. None of which, in all of our lengthy discussion, has there been a change in basic belief as far as Elohim or the original scriptures are concerned. Let me repeat that. None of these things have changed from the time of their writing in the scripture as far as Elohim or the scriptures are concerned, since this was all well established in the 1st century at Jerusalem for believers, as the Bible states. Thank you very much for humoring me, joining me in this study. I hope that you have profited from it. Feel free to do your own research, search your own souls, go back and watch whatever video you've seen. Dear Father, I pray that our studies have been a blessing to Thee. I pray that Thou wilt illuminate our hearts and minds. Touch each one of us to guide us to search for the truth, I pray thee, as the Spirit leads us. For we'll ask this in the name of Yeshua, thy Bane, thy Son. Amen.